I highly suggest you stop talking about my nephew.
Who's scared of you now?
I'm sorry, I don't talk Lyme.
Y'all looking stupid right now.
Alright, I made a fat mistake.
I've made a huge mistake.
In my last video talking about every roommate removed from the real world, I forgot to talk about one of the most significant moments in the history of the show. I only realized it after Reddit user Stranger Kachu made a comment on it over there. So first off, massive thank you to whoever that is, as well as the comment below and this comment. And second, I'm truly sorry for neglecting to include that in. I missed it in my research, so to make up for it, I wanted to make this entire separate video talking about the real world Seattle. So let's set the scene. The year is 1998. MTV was steadily gearing its content more towards reality TV than its original brand of music television. The first season of The Challenge, also known as Road Rules All-Stars, had ran during springtime of that year in the months of April and May. As it featured cast members from the first 6 seasons with the exception of London, sorry London, you're too boring.
Shut up.
Fans of the network were looking forward to who would be the next group of strangers to live together for the next few months. Sure enough, a month later on June 16th, The Real World Seattle had premiered. Focusing in on who the person to leave the house was, we're going to be looking at Irene McGee. Irene was a 22-year-old student who had a relapse of Lyme disease while living in the house, which impeded not only her rapport with the roommates, but also the cast's job of working at a radio station.
Irene, you can plan your own if you want your own break.
Dude, I feel very sick right now.
Do you want to go home?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it. We'll do that.
When she's tired, she doesn't want to be there because she gets groggy. There are people that walk around with medical problems all the time that you just don't know about. Like, I took my medicine every night and I regulated myself, but I was a person that walked around with this that nobody really knew about. It's very hard because it's been 3 years that I've been sick with this Lyme disease. You get it from a tick, and I'm not better. On one angle, I'm like real psyched that I've gotten this far, but on another, I'm just like, am I ever gonna get better? Like, am I gonna live my life like this? Oh my God.
After deciding the best decision was to leave the house for herself and the rest of the roommates, Irene got all her stuff together and said her goodbyes. Her calm exit turned into an infamous moment for the reality show when she and fellow roommate Steven exchanged their last words.
You are so full. You're faking. That's why you don't feel comfortable. Because nothing here is real, because you know why? You're an absolute bitch and you can't fess up to it, dude.
You're right, Steven.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
You can't help it. I love you while you're here, while you were cool, but you know what? You flipped out. Bitch, don't try to be with me, because I don't take that.
I'm agreeing with you.
Swear. No, you're not. I'm out of here. You can kiss my ass forever.
He has emotional problems.
Steven Williams was a 20-year-old guy studying at UC Berkeley to obtain a major in business and a minor in African American studies. A major conflict for him throughout the show had been others thinking he was gay, whether it was the 2 guy roommates, a gay man he meets at a club, or even as far as the radio boss telling everyone such.
I was actually talking about my ex-girlfriend, and she just came up in conversation, and he looked at me and he's like, your ex-girlfriend, you know, he's like, Abby told me you were gay. And I'm like, what?
I'm sorry, Steve.
While he publicly came out as gay 10 years later in 2008, he aggressively denounced any allusion to that throughout the show. The most notable example of this also coincides with being one of, if not the most infamous moment in the show's history.
Steven, I left everybody a gift, and I want to leave you one too.
Yeah, I thought she was going to tell me goodbye. She said she had a gift for me. I thought she was going to hand me something.
A marriage between you and I would never work out. You know that. Because you're homosexual, Steven.
You think I'm a homo?
Yes.
Well, you're a bitch.
As the two already didn't have the greatest relationship prior to talking, her calling him a homosexual right before leaving definitely didn't alleviate any of that tension. As she's packing the taxi up with her things, Steven came out with a stuffed bear that she brought at the start of the season that mysteriously went missing midway through, and throws it into the water.
Check this out. Woo! Is this yours?
I told you he stole it. My stuffed animal. He took it the other night in the temper tantrum.
Finally, as she sat in the taxi, about to leave, Steven runs up, taps the back of the car for it to stop, opens the passenger door, slaps Irene in the face, and closes the door.
Go on, Steven, let it go.
If there was one button to press, that was the button to press.
As I previously mentioned Steven coming out as gay in 2008, I neglected to say it was at the Real World Awards Bash, which also saw CT call him out directly to his face for his treatment of Irene.
I mean, gonna beat up a couple women, so you know what I mean?
Listen, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I don't have time for negative things he was saying to me. I don't really want to deal with him. Let's go.
Yeah, okay, all right. Let's not talk about it. Let's run from it.
And for anyone else curious on where Irene stands on all of this, she's actually uploaded a 5-minute clip of her stand-up talking about what her experience was like when she got home.
And I was famously hit in the face by a guy. Does everybody remember that? Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So if you don't, Google it later. Not now, that's rude.
She also wrote an article for Vulture in 2013 titled Slaps, Lies, and Videotape, which sees her further breaking down how bad of an experience she had on the show. It's also worth mentioning that in this article, she calls out the narrative of her leaving because of Lyme disease being a disingenuous one, where the real one was actually that she hated it. There's a lot to unpack with this situation, so maybe I guess it all worked out in the end that this departure has its own separate video? Whatever the case may be, I'm glad to have finally talked about every roommate that has left the real world in some capacity on my channel. And as long as we're talking about this season, let's quickly look over a handful of other memorable moments, either good or bad. David meets up with a mysterious woman who goes on to be revealed as a casting director for MTV, which not only got her fired, but also ended with a distraught David.
2 people met in a casting call. 2 people seen each other. 2 people got to speak to each other in interviews. Those 2 people were able to continue to speak, and the 2 people are Kira and I.
I love you so much, and you sit there and you doubt me to my face, and I get it in your feelings all the time. I love you. It kills me. You don't even know.
After being carried up to Mount Everest via chopper, Janet sparks a cigarette only to pass out in the snow less than a minute later.
As soon as Janet got off the helicopter and she's gonna start lighting up the smoke, I tell her, sweetie, maybe you better cut back on those things while you're up here.
Janet?
Whoa.
For a little bit. Exit.
You guys have fun, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. We see.
Losing that control and not knowing what happened for the past 5 minutes, it scared me.
Lindsay receiving some tragic news about her friend that she just spoke to earlier in the episode killing himself.
Wild Bill.
It's Wild Bill. We call him Wild Bill because he's a little bit crazy. He's my second brother, basically. We've adopted Bill into our family.
Hello. Is Lindsay there?
Hello.
Lindsay.
Hi.
Bill killed himself.
What?
He killed himself last night.
What?
Lindsay.
What? Do you believe me?
Rebecca getting the opportunity to flourish her musical abilities by working with Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Innocent.
Innocent?
Innocence. No name, he blames.
And finally, would it even be a real world season if we didn't have one roommate trying to keep afloat a relationship back home?
I just met you tonight. We're having fun. Don't worry about it.
I think the fact that he's 3,000 miles away from his girlfriend, and the fact that it's human nature to want to be kind of cuddled and hugged and loved, I definitely think there's temptation.
God bless Nathan. In all sincerity, this season of The Real World is one I'd highly advise checking out if you're able to find it. It's one of the best older seasons, one of the best seasons in general, honestly, and if you're just looking for the Seattle aesthetic, don't put yourself through Bad Blood, and just find this instead. And with that, I guess this video is about over. I feel like this video is going to be by far my shortest ever, but I had to rectify the dumb mistake I made previously. Y'all already know, like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Either way, thanks a ton for watching till the end. I'm not sure when or what the next Real World video is going to be, or what the next video in general is going to be, honestly. I know Big Brother 24 and the Challenge USA are currently going on, but I don't know how much I love the idea of making videos on a season currently airing, especially after how embarrassing my assessment of the BB23 cast was last year. Right when I was looking over everyone, there were, I would say, 3 people that I was very, very excited about, and Derek was one of them. But just to give my quick thoughts on both as of now, the Challenge USA has been a pretty fun watch so far, but nothing too crazy. But I think BB24 so far has had the most engaging pre-merge of a handful of modern seasons. Very excited to continue following that.
I'm telling you, Taylor, right now, I don't even want to hear it. And I'd rather go to sleep than hear you try to explain yourself because I'm so tired. And that sounds rude. Is that rude? Am I being rude?
Rude. Yeah.
Am I being really rude to you?
Just a little bit.
But until whatever and whenever that next video is, always remember, enjoy yourself.